Hello and welcome to the History and Genealogy virtual classroom. Today is August 22nd and the time is 10 a.m. Thank you for joining us. My name is Jake Eubanks and I will be moderating this Zoom session. Today's class, Library Skills for Genealogical Research, will be taught by Robin McDonough. This class will be recorded and made available on the St. Louis County Library website. If you are viewing this Zoom session live, you are encouraged to type questions using the chat feature at the bottom of your screen. The instructor will answer questions at the end of the session. I will now turn this over to Robin and we will begin the class.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Library Skills for Genealogical Research. Again, my name is Robin McDonough. I'm a staff member here at the History and Genealogy Department at the St. Louis County Library. Thank you to Jake for being our monitor. And I'm going to share my screen with you now so I can take you through all of this great information on library skills for genealogical research. Okay. Just a moment here. Okay. What we're going to do in this class is we are going to talk about a variety of ways to use the library for your genealogical research, as well as some resources that are actually outside of the library but related. We are going to learn how to navigate the library's website for your history and genealogical research. We are going to learn how to use the card catalog and the library's indexes. We are going to learn how to locate periodical articles and more. In this presentation, there will be a lot of screenshots and me showing you how to access certain things. So if you miss something or if I go too fast, this class will eventually be posted to the library's YouTube channel, so you can rewatch parts if you'd like. Or if you do have a question about accessing one of the resources that I'm talking about, please feel free to give us a call and we can sort of guide you through it and help you to find it. Okay? All right, we're going to start with some website basics. Since you're taking this class, you found this class probably on our website, so you probably have used the website before, but I want to go through some basics to show you where some things are, just so you have that sort of under your belt. The first thing that I want to show you is this is what our homepage looks like. You've probably, most of you have seen this before. You're going to get to our website by simply going to slcl.org. And again, this is what that homepage is going to look like. Very easy. If you're using a mobile device, your screen might look a little bit different, and a lot of the tabs that I'm talking about here and a lot of the things that I click on, you'll actually be able to access through this menu square, this blue square up in the top right corner. So you'll be using that instead of what I'm showing you on the regular computer screen. Okay, back to the homepage. I want to draw your attention to some of the items at the top. These are very basic types of information, contact information, hours and locations. We'll have information, I'm sure, up there, with reopening plans, things like that. So that's where you're going to go for that basic information. When we do reopen, if you want to come in and visit us here, you can find our hours and our address up there. Below that are some smaller icons, which I think sometimes people miss. These little icons are the social media icons. You may recognize there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's Twitter. The library is on all of those. But a relatively new one that we have, that we've had and we've been utilizing a lot during the pandemic is this icon right here, which is YouTube. So the library has a lot of virtual programming. We've got staff members at the branches who are reading books to children. And as far as the History and Genealogy Department, we are putting these classes up on our page there, as well as tutorial videos that we're doing. These are shorter videos, about 10 minutes, where our staff members are teaching you how to, for example, use Ancestry.com. I'm currently working on one on how to access newspapers.com. Jake, our moderator, I think he just put one, had one posted that was how to use land records. So I would definitely have you check those out if that's something that you're interested in. And actually, I'm going to show you that in just a moment. But first, Way up in the right-hand corner is the My Account button. So if you go onto our website and you know that you are going to want to put a book on hold or access one of our history and genealogy databases, you can click on that green button and go ahead and get yourself logged in. You'll see this screen here where you'll put in your last name, your library card number, and your PIN. Now, if you're relatively new to the St. Louis County Library, or maybe you have a library card but you haven't used it in a while and you don't know what your PIN is, if you've never changed your PIN should be 1234. That's the default PIN. Once you get in, I would suggest changing that PIN for security purposes. But again, if you've never changed it, the default is 1234. Okay, I did want to show you the YouTube page. So you can either click on that YouTube icon on our website to get here, or you can simply go to YouTube and search on St. Louis County Library. But if you click on our playlists, and then you should see history and genealogy, and that's where we will be posting these classes as well as our tutorial videos. So please definitely check that out. Okay, going back to our homepage, I want to focus your attention on this line of larger tabs that you see going across the top. Okay, these. We're going to focus on several of these as we're talking here, mostly honing in on things that are going to help you with your history and genealogy research. The St. Louis County Library has so much to offer within each one of these tabs, so I encourage you to explore that on your own. But we're going to kind of focus on the things that I think will help you with your research. We're not going to take them in order. We're going to do them a little bit differently in sort of an order that makes more sense here today, but we will be talking about those. Also, up in the top left-hand corner, you'll see the St. Louis County Libraries icon. Wherever you are on the website, if you see that, you can always click there and it'll take you back to the homepage. So if you'd like to start your search over, if you'd like to do something different on the website, go ahead and click there and it'll take you back to the start. Okay, the first tab that we're going to take a look at is using the library. So that's going to be the second one actually in the row there. And if you hover over that, you'll see you've got a bunch of options there. We're actually going to talk about library cards since that's a pretty good place to start. You're going to need a library card to access a lot of what I'm talking about. One other thing that I want to mention, I would be hovering over this in order to see these items. But if you just wanted to click on it instead, it would look like this, and those options would be down the side. Okay, so in this case, we are going to talk about library cards, and if you don't have one, definitely the first thing you should do after this class is over is go ahead and get one. It's very easy to do. The library has made this a very simple, easy, streamlined process right now, particularly since our libraries are not open. So we have an online application. Normally you could go into a branch and go ahead and do this, but you're going to be doing this online application, and you will have immediate access to most of our databases. Now, I want to mention that library cards are free to anyone who lives in St. Louis County, St. Louis City, or St. Charles County, but all library cards are not exactly created equal, okay? If you live in one of these places, so if you live in St. Louis City, if you live in St. Charles County, or if you live in one of these municipalities that has their own library, your card will have a few sort of stipulations on it, okay? One that comes to mind is interlibrary loan service. So our library offers an ILL service where you can request materials from other libraries. But if you have a card with us, but you live in one of these places, you will have to utilize the ILL service through your own library. So again, they're mostly created equal, just not quite all created equal. Otherwise, you know, everybody has access to all the databases, everybody has access to all the books and all of that. We do offer a non-resident card for $50 for people who do live outside of the area. But unless you are in a county that's touching St. Louis County, you will not have access to a lot of our databases and things like that. So just sort of keep that in mind. If you do have relatives out of town, they can get a card, but it will be very limited. Okay, and this is what that online library card registration form looks like. So again, very quick, and it does mention on here that you will be able to access most of these things immediately. Okay. Next thing I want to mention is borrowing. When you do check out a book from the library, particularly a history and genealogy book, I wanted to let you know that it's a 14-day loan period, and you can only check out 2 books from the history and genealogy department at a time. So unfortunately, if there's a big, a volume set of books that cover a certain county, maybe that you have ancestors from, unfortunately, you can only check out 2 of those at a time. So that's just something to keep in mind. And again, it is a 14-day loan period. Okay, e-courses. We have several e-courses, and I think some of these are really great for your history and genealogy research that you are doing. 2 of the ones that I just want to mention as examples. One is our GALE courses. These are interactive, instructor-led courses. As you can see on here, you take them online, you log in with your library card, and they have a variety of different different types of classes. But I know one in particular is on how to make an Excel spreadsheet. So if you don't know how to do that already on your computer, that might be something that you want to take maybe through GALE courses, because that can be very useful when organizing your genealogy ancestors. And that's actually up there. And then another one that I want to mention is we have a language learning program called Mango. So there's really no need to spend hundreds of dollars on something like Rosetta Stone, where you can actually learn a language through the library. And I think this is kind of interesting for our history and genealogy patrons, because sometimes we'll have people who come in and they discover that they have all of these German relatives, and then they'd maybe like to learn a little German. So if that's something that interests you, please definitely check that out. Okay, we do have a mobile app, though. So for those of you who like to use the apps on your phone, therefore you can have an Android, or it's for iOS. There's the scan right there, and you can do mostly what you can do on the website you could do on this app. So go ahead and download that app if you like using the app versions of things. And then I also want to mention mobile hotspots. So a lot of people don't know this, but the library actually loans out mobile hotspots. So if you were having trouble with maybe your Wi-Fi, or for an example for genealogy, if you maybe have a relative who does not have Wi-Fi, and you would like to take maybe your computer, with your ancestry tree or something like that on it over to them to show them, you could check out one of these Wi-Fi hotspots and have internet access while you're there. These are highly coveted items. If you see here, this is actually a screenshot of a recent, what it looks like recently as far as if any are available. You'll want to go into the card catalog actually and just search on hotspot, and you can see most of them are checked out or they are on a hold shelf. But again, if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and get on the list and you'll get one eventually. And those are 2-week loans as well as the books. Okay, Books, e-Media, and More tab is what I'd like to talk about next. That's actually the first tab over here. And I'd like to first talk about our card catalog, kind of the lifeblood of a library. I'd like to show you how to use it remotely right now when you can't come into the library, and how you can access materials from home to pick them up at the library. So you're going to click on that. Here's the screen that you're going to get. This is where you're going to search the library's card catalog. So you can put in, as far as genealogy goes, a county or a state or a city, place name. You can put in a person's name. If you think there may be some kind of a biography or something written about them. You can put in a surname in case we have any family history books about a certain family. You can put in an author's name. So there are all types of things that you can put in that search box. I also want to mention that below that, if you've never noticed this before, it says search Mobius. Mobius is actually a library consortium, several libraries within the state of Missouri, as well as some other libraries in other Midwestern states, and they share and interlibrary loan books. So if you can't find something in our library's card catalog, you may want to try the Mobius card catalog. I don't believe Mobius is currently up and running, but hopefully it will be soon. All right, so we're going to take an example, and I'm going to see if I can find some books on, say, maybe I have ancestors that I think maybe from Plymouth County, Massachusetts. So I'm going to put that in the search box there. Now, whenever you're searching for any genealogical materials, you always have to pay attention to what you put in. You don't want to give, search boxes too much information, but you don't want to give them too little. In this case, I don't know if there may be other Plymouth counties somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and put Plymouth County, Massachusetts. I'm going to be a little more specific, and I'm going to go ahead and search on that. And it looks like we have several books that are on Plymouth County. In fact, 90 of them. So if I wanted to do some filtering, I could actually do that out to the left side here. Say I knew I wanted to come into the History and Genealogy department once we're open, and I want to just filter what we have just here in the History and Genealogy department. Or say I did some research 5 years ago and I want to come back and see if the library has anything new. I can search by date of publication. But I'm going to take a look right now at this top book, The History of North Bridgewater, Plymouth County, Massachusetts. So I think that this is a book that I might be interested in taking a look at. If you'll notice out to the side, it has this Request It button. So this book can be checked out. And even though you can't come into the library right now, we do have curbside service. So I could click Request It. My screen would look like this. It looks like this is actually a two-part book. So I would select one of those. I would let it know where I wanted to pick the book up at, and I would submit it. Then I would get an email when it was ready, and I could come pick it up via the curbside service. So that's how I would access that book. Now, if I look at the book below that, it doesn't have a Request It button. So why is that, and what can I do? Well, if I look a little bit more closely at the record, I notice that this call number, and let me blow it up for you here, has an R in front of it. So that R is going to stand for reference, and a reference book does have to stay in the library. So our collection consists of over 100,000 books, but about 30,000 of them do circulate. So you will see call numbers with R's and call numbers without R's. And unfortunately, the ones with R's do have to stay here. Once we're open, you're welcome to come in, take a look at those books. You can photocopy them, you can scan them. We have a free scanner. You're welcome to stay all day and take notes if you'd like. We also have a lookup service. You can access the books that way, and I'll actually be talking in more detail about the lookup service towards the end of the presentation. Okay, on the subject of call numbers, you'll notice that after the R, you have several numbers here. We use here at the St. Louis County Library, we use the Dewey Decimal System. If you look on this chart, you'll notice the Dewey Decimal System has 10 main classes. And you'll see that 900 to 999 is history and geography. If we wanted to get a little more specific, we see that, for example, North America is 970. Here is a picture of just some of our books lined up on a shelf here in the library. And you'll notice that these call numbers look very, very similar to one another. And that is because pretty much all of the shelves on our Tier 5 area in the History and Genealogy department are US states. So all of these books, thousands and thousands of books, are going to be 97 something. So they will all look alike. So make sure whether you're making a list of books that you want to come in and look at, or whether you're contacting us about a lookup, we want you to give us a title and a call number. Make sure you give us that whole call number, okay, from beginning to end, because that'll help us locate that book and you locate that book quickly. All right, and one other thing I want to mention is there is another classification system. It is the Library of Congress classification system. You will mostly see this in larger academic libraries. So if you ever are doing your genealogical research and you see maybe a citation or a reference to a book that has a call number that looks a little bit different, it's probably a Library of Congress call number. But we're not going to talk really about that since we use Dewey. Okay. All right, we're going to try another search here in the card catalog. And this time we're going to look for Itawamba County marriages. Now, Itawamba County is actually located in Mississippi, but I'm pretty sure there aren't any other Itawamba counties in the country. So I'm going to just go with Itawamba County and I'm going to add marriages because I'd like to find a particular marriage. So I'm going to do a search, but unfortunately, I have no catalog results found. So what is the next step that I could take? Well, what I would recommend is WorldCat. This is easy to find. We actually have a link in our databases on our website, or you can just simply go to worldcat.org. WorldCat actually stands for World Catalog. So it's an online card catalog of libraries all over the world. I'm going to do the search here and see what comes up. So I'm going to put in Itawamba County marriages and I'm going to hit search, and I do have some results. And this first one looks interesting. Itawamba County marriages, 1840 to 1900. There's an index, so I could quickly see if maybe, any of my ancestors were married there. So I'm going to click on that. And this is the page I get. And if I could draw your attention to the very bottom, this WorldCat is going to tell me where I can find this book. Now you'll notice the St. Louis County Library is not listed, but St. Louis Public Library is, as well as Mid-Continent Public Library. So I now have some options if I did want to look at this book. I could either travel to the St. Louis Public Library and look at it myself, or I could maybe try to do an interlibrary loan where the ILL department could possibly try to get this book for me from either of those two libraries. They also may have a lookup service like we do. So I do know that I have options and I do know where this book can be found. So if you've never explored WorldCat, please do so. I think you'll be glad you did. All right, interlibrary loan, that's kind of a segue into the interlibrary loan department. Unfortunately, when you click on that right now, it says that the interlibrary loan department is currently unavailable. But if it were up and running, you would click on that and you would have a form to fill out where you would give the title of the book, the author, the ISBN number, as much information about the book as you can. And our ILL staff will attempt to locate that book for you. Okay, so again, not up and running yet, but hopefully will be at some point here in the near future. Okay, suggest a purchase is the last item I want to talk about in this section. We will oftentimes have patrons that are working on very similar research. I myself, in fact, have ancestors from certain German towns that I have actually seen patrons or helped patrons here in the department working on their ancestors who were actually from the very same towns in Germany, because there certainly were those pipelines of these different ethnicities into St. Louis. Germans, Italians, Irish. So if there's a particular book that we don't have that you would like to use for your research, go ahead and suggest it to us, because chances are there may be others who can utilize it as well. So we do have that, and that's a form that you can fill out as well. Okay, going back to the home page, all the way over on the right side with all of those tabs there is a search button. So we talked about how to search the card catalog for a book, but this is sort of an all-over search button where it searches everything within the library's website. And this is very useful as well, particularly for your history and genealogy, and I'm going to show you why. So you can click on that search or hover over it, but actually you usually don't even need to do that, because usually when you go to the home page, this all search box is usually just there for you. So the example that I'm going to use is Litzinger. So where the library is located here on South Lindbergh, very near here is a road called Litzinger Road. Well, the Litzingers were a family from Germany who settled here in the 1800s, and I'd like to find out more about this family, so I'm going to see what we have here in the library on the Litzingers. So I'm going to put in Litzinger, I'm going to go ahead and click go, and I apologize, I shrunk this page down so I could show you all of the results that it gave. But you'll notice at the top here, I've got catalog results. And wow, I got lucky because it looks like we do have a book on the Litzingers. But more importantly, down below that, there's a genealogy section. And if I blow this up, what you're looking at there are matches to items in our history and genealogy indexes, which we'll be talking about soon. So if I was wanting to find out more information about the Litzingers, I may want to click on this top result here, indexed to the St. Louis County Watchman Advocate, because it looks like there's a mention of a Litzinger in an article in that newspaper. So I could click on that, it would give me the information, and then I could go and check that newspaper. It's actually on microfilm here. So that's what I would do. So you've got all of these other hits on that Litzinger name. So you've got the catalog search when you know you're looking for a book, and I prefer that, again, when I know I'm looking for a book. But if I know I'm wanting some of this genealogy information, if I'm wanting to see if this name or this place, gets picked up in any of our indexes, I will use that all search box. Okay, very quickly, events and classes. Since you are registered for this Zoom class, you've probably utilized this, but sometimes we do have patrons who call in, so I just want to make sure that everybody knows how to register for a future class. So you're going to click on events and classes. You're going to use the drop-down menu here and choose genealogy programs. And then you're going to see all of our upcoming genealogy programs. This is actually ours right here, the Library Skills for Genealogical Research. You're going to click register. You're going to fill out just a few boxes and you're good to go. Okay, and you will get an email reminder, and for these Zoom classes, in your email will be the link to access the virtual class. Okay. Now to the fun part, the research tab, which has all of the fabulous history and genealogy information underneath it. So the research tab is going to be found right in the very center. And if you hover over that, you'll see that everything below it is going to be history and genealogy. So I'm going to talk about these tabs and show you what you can find within each one of these. First of all, I want to talk about our holdings and collections. And so if you click on that, again, I kind of shrunk this down a little bit, but I just want to talk about just sort of the history and genealogy department in general. We were founded in 1998. We are a major research destination. We have over 100,000 print items, a very large, thousands of microfilm, a very large microfilm collection, and a variety of electronic databases that our patrons can access. None of this would have been possible without collections that we've acquired over the years that have been donated to us, and it's really helped us to grow our collection, and we're very grateful for that. And I just want to highlight a few of those. The National Genealogical Society's book collection we actually acquired in 2001. And this is where a lot of our circulating books come from, because the society stipulated that they wanted the books to circulate. So this constitutes the bulk of that, but it's almost 30,000 books. And again, it really kind of got us on the map as far as being a major research destination. And I forgot to mention before when I showed you the picture of the books on the shelf that you want to look for those R's, because you cannot check those out. But books that do not have the R also have a blue dot. I don't know if you remember seeing blue dots. Most of those are our National Genealogical Society collection books. And if you see the blue dot, you know that you can check that one out. Okay, we also have the St. Louis Genealogical Society's collection. We work very closely with the St. Louis Genealogical Society. If you are not a member, you may want to check them out. They hold their monthly meetings here. They also offer programming, Zoom classes, things like that. So I would encourage you to check out their webpage. You can access a lot of what they have without being a member, but a lot of things you do have to be a member to take advantage of. So I would definitely suggest that you take a look at that. Okay, some of the other collections that we have acquired: the Julius K. Hunter and Friends African American Research Collection, the Becker Collection, the Berthold Collection. We have the Jewish Genealogical Society of St. Louis's collection, as well as the Rohrbach Collection. So if you'd like to read a little bit more about those, please feel free. But again, we are very grateful for all of these items that we've had donated to us. Okay, next thing I want to mention is planning your visit. However, unfortunately, you cannot plan your visit right now. So we are going to move on to what history and genealogy services are currently available to you. So first thing, we do have remote database access. So we're going to talk about our online resources in just a few minutes here, but you can access that from home with your library card. Some of the databases that you normally would have to be in the library to use, you can now use from home, Ancestry.com being the big one there. Okay, I mentioned that we loan library Wi-Fi hotspots, but our libraries have also all expanded their Wi-Fi access out into their parking lots. So if you need quick Wi-Fi access, you can always utilize that. If there's a particular record that you need to access, if you there's a family history film that you need to be in the library to look at, again, we do have that access in the parking lots. Okay, we do have photocopy and lookup service. I am going to talk in detail about the lookup service. So, but just briefly, if there's something you need out of a book, if there's something you need off a microfilm, you can request, make a specific request, and we can copy that and email it back to you. And that is definitely up and running, and we'll talk about that and the form a little bit later. You also have access to our print collection. We talked about how to use the catalog. So any of those books that you can request, feel free to go ahead and do that. And then you can pick them up using our curbside service. Okay, and we also provide research guidance. If you were at home, you're having trouble using one of our databases, or maybe you just have sort of a general question about your genealogy, please go ahead and give us a call. We can definitely help you with that. We do not do research. We do have lists that we refer you to of paid researchers, if that's the kind of thing you're looking for, but we can sort of point you in the right direction if you're wondering, well, where do I find marriage records? Where do I find church records? We can kind of guide you and point you in the right direction for that. So we do have several services up and running, and we are here staffed. And like I said, we are answering the phones and answering all of your lookups. Okay, we do have some subject guides posted on our website. When you click on that, you'll see that we have subject guides to the history and genealogy department. And these are various guides that we've put together that highlight some books that we have, maybe for certain states or for doing certain types of genealogy based on ethnicity. I'm going to show you an example here. We have one on getting started in genealogy. So if you are just getting started and you'd like to read about some of our tips, you're going to click on that and you're going to have a PDF document that is going to, again, give you some tips for how to get started on a genealogy project. So I would encourage you to maybe look through those and see if those are any, we have any ones that you'd be interested in reading. All right, we have two publications that I would like to mention and that I'm actually very proud of, and I love to talk about these. So the Dred and Harriet Scott book was actually written by a former staff member here. We do sell that. But above that, you'll see Passports, which is our monthly publication. We actually produce this all in-house. It is an electronic newsletter, so you sign up via your email and you receive it every month. Or you can actually view current and past newsletters on our website. So if you were to click on that, you could actually browse and choose a year and choose a month. There really isn't an overall index for this, unfortunately, if you're looking for a particular topic, but I would encourage you to browse these newsletters because I guarantee you won't be disappointed. There will be several articles that you will find interesting and that will help you with your genealogy research. I've seen patrons come in the library who have actually broken through brick walls by reading some of our articles. There was a patron in particular, she was doing research in Alsace-Lorraine, and we had an article about how to access Alsace-Lorraine records, and she was able to get back several generations by using the information that we had in that article. The articles are history related. Sometimes they are, how to do one particular type of genealogy. But again, go ahead and browse because you'll definitely find something that can help you or that you're interested in. If you want to sign up for that newsletter, if you scroll all the way down on that page, you'll see where it says get email updates, but you're going to put your email in there and click subscribe and you'll receive it that way. So definitely, when this class is over, if you haven't signed up for this, I would go ahead and do so. Okay, and here's an example of what one of our passports editions looks like. This one was actually from 2019, and the title of the main For the Records article was African American Migration Patterns Can Help Reveal Family Origins. So again, we give you a lot of research guidance in these articles, or history information where you can, sort of imagine what these ancestors, what was going on and what they would have lived like way back when. So, okay, next item is genealogical forms. We've put a few of these on our website for you to check out: a 4-generation chart, a family group sheet, and if you're not big on doing math, we've got a birth year chart as well. Let's take a look at the 4-generation chart just real quickly here. You can either fill this out online and print it, or you can print it and just write on it. But these charts are very valuable, especially if you're first starting out with the genealogy project. Especially if you're not sure which direction you want to go. Do you want to get some online, do you want to do trees online, maybe on Ancestry, on Family Search, or do you want to get your own genealogical tree software? Or if you just want to keep everything in binders and go ahead and arrange everything on paper, these charts are great. They're a great place to start. You can find a lot of charts online. There are a lot of downloadable and printable ones as well, but hopefully this could kind of get you started. Okay. Next thing, indexes and finding aids. Okay, this is where the fun begins here. We're going to click on this. And again, I kind of shrunk this down, but these are indexes, finding aids, and guides. And these are all made in-house, and they're all for you to learn from. So we have aids and guides on how to do certain types of research, and then we have indexes that staff members and volunteers have made to help you identify your ancestors in records. Okay, so this is I only got down to the C's, so it's a very long list. I would definitely, if you have some time, recommend clicking on each one of these and actually seeing what we have for each one. But I'm going to show you a few examples today of what are the kinds of things that you can find in these indexes and guides. And the first example that I want to show you is with Catholic churches. So for any of you that may have Catholic ancestors that were living in St. Louis, you may want to check this one out. So you're going to click on that. I'm going to click on Catholic church records held by the History and Genealogy Department. And then this very first thing is definitely something you should check out. The Guide to St. Louis Archdiocesan Parish Records lists and microfilm holdings. And then the second thing is this interactive online map. So we're going to take a quick look at both of those. The Archdiocesan Guide is on here, it's a PDF file. Within the department here, we have it in book form, but you have every church in the St. Louis Archdiocese in alphabetical order will have its own page in this book. This is an example page, and you can see all of the things that we show you on this page. You have some information about the church, when it was founded, where it was founded, whether it was a certain ethnic group attended that church. You can see we also have all of the sacraments that we have on record. You can see the years of those sacraments. You can find the roll number for if you're going to come in and want to take a look at that. The item number, where you can find it on the roll, whether or not there's an index within the roll. However, you can't come in and look at this microfilm right now, unfortunately, but what you also have on here is the FHL roll number. So FHL stands for Family History Library, and that is FamilySearch.org. That's actually the Mormon Family History Library located in Salt Lake City, Utah, and they have had many of these records on microfilm, but they've been digitizing them, and they've been reaching out to libraries. They've been digitizing what the libraries have. And so many of these churches can now be found in digitized form. These records from these churches can be found in digitized form on FamilySearch.org. That number right there for the FHL roll will help you quickly, find that on FamilySearch.org. Okay, and then another thing I want to show you quickly is this interactive map. This map is great. So each of those stars on there actually represents a St. Louis Catholic parish or church, whether it is still open, whether it's been closed for 100 years, they're all on there. And you can zoom in and out on this map. And if you zoom in, this is kind of what it looks like. But this is great for those of you who know that you have Catholic ancestors, but you don't know which church they attended, and you want to find maybe marriage records or baptismal records. There is really no overall index for these churches. So what you have to do is you have to identify where they were living, maybe from a census or maybe from a city directory. And then you want to pull up this Catholic map and try to figure out, well, which was the closest church to them, because they most likely attended that closest church. And remember, church records are wonderful to use for genealogy, because even just a marriage, if you can find a couple's marriage, you can then possibly go back another generation just from that marriage, because it may have listed their parents. So very important to look at church records, and especially if you have the Catholics, definitely check this out. We also have a similar guide for Protestant churches and others. So again, I'm just showing you a few examples, but if you want to explore that, it's all on there. Okay, another quick example is we have a local history item here. So if you click on that, we have several local history books that deal with the municipalities in this area. And what we've done is those with indexes, we've put the indexes on here, or we've created our own. And so you can easily look for a person and see if they're in that book, and if so, what page are they on. So this is great for if you want to make these notes before you come in. You can go right to that book, turn to that page, and there'll be a reference to your ancestor. Or if you want to use our lookup service and fill out the form and tell us, I'd like the entry on Joanna Ablin from page 101 of the Florissant book, we can make a photocopy of that, and we can scan it actually and email it back to you. So definitely check out these local history indexes if you have those St. Louis area ancestors. And one more thing I want to show you is this is just an example of just a list that we've put together of all of our yearbooks that we have here in the library. So if you click on that, you'll see all of the yearbooks. Now this is the Cleveland High School section, but you can see which ones we have. These are not, you won't be able to click on these and open them or anything like that. It's just a list, but that way you can identify if we have the yearbook you're looking for, and if so, again, you can either come in once we're open, or you can maybe request, that we send you a picture of your ancestor from the yearbook. So those are just a few examples of what we have on the indexes. I do now want to turn to the online resources. This is something that all of you will be using right now since you can't come into the library, and I just want to make sure that you know how to use this, what's there, and all of that. So when you click on the online genealogy resources, you're going to get to a page that looks like this. All of our databases and websites that we've listed here are all in blue, and they're all in alphabetical order. Now I say databases and websites because when I say databases, I'm mostly referring to things that we pay for here in the library that you can utilize as a patron, something like an ancestry.com. And then we also just have websites listed, and these would be things that anybody could use. You could go find this on your own, but they're just sites that we think are very useful for your genealogy research. Like, for example, Ellis Island is on there, so you could click on that. Again, you could go to it yourself, but we give you the link. Probably our most popular right now, I would say, would be Ancestry Library Edition. This you did used to have to be in the library to use, but during the pandemic, they've made it available from home. So you can use this from your own home right now. Newspapers.com would be another one, used a lot, and I would definitely recommend it. And Fold 3 is another one that I think is used a lot when people come in or when they're doing their research from home. We're going to take Fold 3 here real quickly, and I'm just going to use this as an example. You would scroll down to the Fs. Like I said, they're all in alphabetical order. You would click here on Fold 3. And if you weren't already logged into our website, you would have to log in here, again, with your name, your number, and your PIN. And then you would be good to go on Fold 3. Just a plug here for one of our upcoming classes. If you are interested in doing military research, if you suspect you have military ancestors, we do have a class coming up on September 30th that is another Zoom class. It's Discovering Ancestral Military Records. And we will be talking about Fold 3 and some other sites as well. So I would definitely recommend checking that out if you suspect that you have those ancestors. Okay, I have mentioned Family Search a couple times throughout this class, and I want to mention that we are here at the St. Louis County Library a Family Search affiliate library. So what that means is if you have ever been searching on Family Search and you got to a page that looked like this with this message, it says that images are available, but to view these images, you have to do one of the following: access the site at a Family History Center or access the site at a Family Search affiliate library. We are a Family Search affiliate library again. So you can come into our library, the library recognizes our IP address, and you should be able to view those images. You can also try it from the parking lot because, like I said, our Wi-Fi signal has been extended. If you unfortunately only get the message that says you have to access them at a Family History Center, we won't be able to help you there, but there is a Family History Center just right down the road from us. So if you'd like more information on that, you can Google it or you can call us and we'll give you their number. They are staffed with volunteers and they can help you a little bit with your research and help you access these digital images. Okay, and one more plug. If this doesn't sound familiar, Family Search, if you've never seen a screen like this, I would definitely encourage you to check out this class, October 8th. It is Family Search Basics. So if you've been utilizing Ancestry.com and you've never stepped into the world of FamilySearch.org, please do. There are all sorts of records there, but you have to search for them a little bit differently, and that's what we're going to be teaching you in this class. There's a Family Search Basics, and there's also an Advanced Family Search. Please take the Family Search Basics first. Okay? All right, and another one that I want to talk about is Find My Past. So this database is currently still only available in the library. For future reference, it's great for if you have Irish ancestors, English ancestors, British Isles. It's a really good website for that. But what they also have is something called PERSI, which is the Periodical Source Index. And this is where you can access, an index to many periodicals that have been put out over many years and try to find references to your ancestors in those. So these are mostly periodicals that have been put out by maybe monthly or maybe quarterly by historical societies, by genealogical societies. These are probably best used for your lines where your ancestors have been here for several generations. And definitely I would check this out if you've used a lot of other types of resources, a lot of other different types of databases. It's kind of a natural progression to go to these periodicals. Okay, and it's a very underutilized resource. And I've actually found some pretty amazing things in some periodicals. So I would definitely suggest it from personal experience. So the way you're going to access PERSI is you're going to go to Find My Past. Now, the PERSI part of Find My Past is actually available without a subscription. So you don't even need to go through the library. You can just go to findmypast.com. And you won't be able to click on any, if you were looking for records, you wouldn't be able to click on any of that, but you can just use this PERSI index. Okay, so you're going to go to findmypast.com. You're going to scroll down and you're going to click on Search Family Records. Once you do that, you're then going to click on Newspapers and Periodicals. And then once you do that, you're going to make sure that you have selected here the Periodical Source Index. And so you're going to make sure that's selected, and then you'll be able to start searching. I prefer to use the what else search. It's kind of like a keyword search as opposed to the who and where boxes. And in this case, I have an ancestor by the name of Andrew Feaster, who I suspect was in this country way back in the 1700s. I think he may have actually been a Revolutionary War veteran. And I'd like to see if anybody's ever written about him in any of these local, historical or genealogical society bulletins. So I'm going to put him in, and I'm going to click search, and it looks like I do have 3 results. And this one in the very middle is particularly interesting because I do suspect that he actually originally went to Pennsylvania and then ended up in South Carolina. So this is most likely him. So if I click on that page icon out to the right side there, I'm going to get detailed information about this article. It was found in the Chester County Genealogical Society Bulletin. It's from 1981. It gives me the month and the issue and all of that. So now I know that I have a chance to read this article. I could actually see if maybe we carry this periodical in our library, because we do have a large collection of periodicals here. If we don't, I may want to see if I can find this online. Maybe this is available through the Chester County Genealogical Society. Maybe they have a website. But also, if you look down here, this index was actually put together by the Allen County Public Library in Indiana. And they actually do have all of these periodicals. So right there is the call number for this periodical in their library. They have a lookup service. There is a cost associated with it, but you could actually contact them through their website. They have a button for this, and you can request a journal article be scanned and sent to you. So you could actually get it that way. So that is how you use Percy. And again, very underutilized resource, and I would definitely recommend checking it out. Like I said, especially for those lines that have been here for several generations. Okay. Lookups and other services and our lookup request form. I've talked about this a lot. So since we're not open, and actually we have this during normal operating hours as well, because we do have people who contact us from outside of the area. Maybe they live out west, but their ancestors came through St. Louis and they left their mark here in St. Louis. So we have people who contact us from really all over the country, and actually sometimes all over the world, asking us to look up things. So this is definitely something that you can utilize since you can't come into the library right now. But let me make clear that the lookups are for things in indexed sources, or they are specific requests, okay? Here at the History and Genealogy Department, we don't necessarily do research. We sort of facilitate, we help you, sort of guide you into doing your research, but we don't. So for example, a request, I need help, researching my Smith family. Well, that's very, very broad. That's not something that we could do. However, if you wanted to ask us to look in an index of a book, and if your ancestor is mentioned in that book, we can make you photocopies of those pages. If you want to send us a request that says John Smith and Jane Doe were married in St. Louis in 1940, and I would like, their civil marriage record, we could do that. So again, specific requests, perfect. Broad requests, we don't really have the time or actually the staff to do that. So definitely stick to those specific requests. We've got some more examples on there as well for you. We have this lookup form, which again is kind of towards the bottom there, but you're going to fill that out, and that will be sent to us via email. You will get an email back saying that your request has been received, and it will be placed in a queue. We are getting a lot of requests right now for lookups since people can't come into the library. We have been running about a week or so on the response time for getting the document back to you, but certainly that varies a little bit. So just keep that in mind. So definitely take advantage of our lookup request. We love doing it. It helps us learn. It helps us find out about new sources, new books, new things like that. Okay. And one other thing I want to mention on our website is Book a Genealogist. So this service is different than the lookup service. This is for those of you who have been doing your genealogy for a while. You're not a beginner. You have been working at this for a while and you've sort of hit a brick wall, or you don't know where to turn for certain types of records. You can fill out this form, and if it is an appropriate Book a Genealogist request, we will get back to you either via email or phone for some help with your issue. We are not doing face-to-face Book a Genealogist appointments right now, but again, it would be phone or email. So again, these are very specific. These sort of have to fit a certain criteria. But again, if you're having an issue, if it's breaking through a brick wall and it's a specific problem, go ahead and see if we can help you with that. Okay, so that's the Book a Genealogist. I want to talk a little bit about some other library resources outside of the St. Louis County Library, okay? The first thing I'd like to mention is when you have ancestors from different parts of the country, we here at the St. Louis County Library, we have a very large collection. We are very spoiled. We have rows and rows of books from counties all over the country. However, sometimes when your ancestors are from a particular place, it can be good to go to that place because chances are they are going to have more detailed information at a library or at a historical society that is near there. So, for example, I took Dayton, Ohio, and I looked to see what the name of their library was. It's the Dayton Metro Library. And I went to their website and I went to their genealogy page. And I noticed that down here, they have a lot of the same types of things that we do, where they have obituary indexes and they have a link to the Ohio death certificates. So again, sometimes it helps to go sort of closer to the source. Okay, and you'll find that these libraries are very helpful, just as helpful as our own. Sometimes they will have the lookup services as well, just like we do, and things like that. So definitely reach out and branch out to those other libraries. Okay, a little bit closer to home here. The Missouri Historical Society, most of you have probably been to the Missouri History Museum, but the Missouri Historical Society also has a library on Skinker Boulevard, and they have a large collection of books as well, and they've done their own genealogy and local history index, where they have taken a lot of their books, indexed those, and you can search that index online. So if you have those St. Louis ancestors that have been here for a while, I would definitely put their names in here and see what's come up. I personally was able to get a really great picture. My husband's great-great-grandfather was an immigrant from Ireland, and he worked for the St. Louis City Police Department, and I was able to get a wonderful picture of him in his police uniform from, I think it was from 1900, and it was amazing. It was an amazing picture out of a St. Louis History of the St. Louis Police Department book. So there was a cost associated with getting that. I think it was maybe about $5 or so, but they do have that lookup service. Also, the Missouri Historical Society's library, I believe, is currently open by appointment. So you could actually, if you have any results come up on this index, you could actually go and look at those books yourself. Okay, another one a little closer to home, the State Historical Society of Missouri also has a library located in Columbia, Missouri. It's actually a brand new building. They also have satellite offices in other places in the state, but they have a very, very good they have a lot of good collections, but I want to highlight their newspaper collection because they have newspapers from all over the state. Some have been digitized, some are still on microfilm, and you wouldn't be able to access those right now, I don't believe, with the pandemic. But I would check to see, again, the ones that have been digitized, because these are rural papers. These are papers from, like I said, almost every small town and city in the state. So definitely check that out. And remember, newspapers are a great resource for genealogy if you're sort of just starting out. And it's more than just obituaries, especially in these small town papers. You really have a lot of information that is given about these families in these small town newspapers. So just kind of make a note of that. All right, now this is not a brick and mortar library, but still very valuable for your genealogy research. Missouri Digital Heritage. I'm on the death certificates page, but they also have naturalizations, they have court records, they have land records. But these death certificates are used a lot by me, by our patrons, by pretty much anybody who has Missouri ancestors. They cover 60 years. These death certificates are wonderful because they ask the informant the parents' names, where the parents were from. Of course, you have to hope the informant knew that information. But they're wonderful when you can find those. And keep in mind that this website, you can search by last name, first name, you can put some filters in, but it's not very intuitive as far as spelling. So where a website like Ancestry will give you close matches with spellings, this one really doesn't. So if you put in a name and you aren't getting any results, try some similar spellings or ways that maybe the name has been misspelled, ways you've seen it misspelled before, and it may come up that way. Okay, the St. Louis Genealogical Society, I mentioned a little bit earlier. Like I said, we work closely with them. If you are not a member, I would definitely recommend checking them out. They have indexes, they have a burial index, they have a St. Louis death index, and for a lot of those things, you do need to be a member. So I would definitely check that out. It's not very expensive, and like I said, they do some wonderful programming as well. Okay, another thing that you can do from home, again, not a brick and mortar library, but it is books. There are some sites. One is called Internet Archive, and there's another one that you see a lot called Hathi Trust. And these are organizations that are digitizing books that are they're out of copyright. Okay, so this is just an example one on the Hendrick genealogy that I was taking a look at, but I've got this whole book here that's been digitized and is on the internet. So if they are older family history books, things like that, you might want to just do a Google search and see if anything comes up to where you can look at the book online. Okay, and this last one, again, not a brick and mortar library, but searching and the way you search is very important. Whether you're searching Ancestry, whether you're searching our catalog, you have to kind of hit the sweet spot of, you don't want to give it too much information, you don't want to give it too little information. And even when it comes to Google searching or just searching the internet, there is a lot out there. Genealogy is a very big hobby. People are putting information on the internet all of the time. And this is where I should definitely stop and say, yes, but you can't trust everything you see on the internet. So when it comes to, an index that we have or something like that, you can trust that. However, things that you see on the internet, other people's trees, things like that, you always have to take those with a grain of salt, and you always want to corroborate that with your own research. But in this case, I was looking for an ancestor by the name of Henry Ellebracht. I knew when he was born, I knew he was from Germany, but I was having a very hard time finding the town that he was from in Germany. And I wanted to find that, of course, so I could use church records to try to get back some more generations after that in Germany. So I put his name in the Google search bar, and one of the results that came up was a funeral home website for Bowie Funeral Home. There was actually a sister by the name of Sister Mildred Ellebracht who had passed away. And there were several entries where others were sending their condolences, typing that in on the website obituary. And I find this one that was very long, and it caught my eye, and I started reading it. And it was a lady who said, oh, well, I'm probably related to the deceased, and here's how. So I'm reading this, and I find it says, so in summary, and she mentions my ancestor as well, and it says, so in summary, we are all descended from Johann Heinrich Ellebracht and Gertrude Kleinfehler from Westerwiehe, North Rhine-Westphalia. And I thought, my mouth was kind of hanging open, and I thought, did I just find this German town from a funeral home's website? And it turns out I actually did. Again, you want to take it with a grain of salt, but at least I had something to go on. I was able to locate the German church records for this town. And sure enough, I was able to trace my Ellebracht family, my line back a few more generations. So again, never underestimate the power of the search, whether it's in a catalog or whether it's in Google or whatever. So Okay, and that concludes our class today on library skills for genealogical research. I hope that each one of you was able to at least learn something new that can help you with your research. And now I think we'll turn it back over to Jake. There's Jake.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you found this class helpful. If you have further questions or comments, please feel free to contact History and Genealogy at 314-994-3300 or by email at genealogy@slcl.org. A reminder that this class has been recorded and will be made available on the library's website at slcl.org/genealogy. This ends the Zoom session. Have a good morning.